SpaceX has recently test launched the Starship, also known as SN9. You might not have seen it, you might not have, but that's what we're going to talk about today and why it ended in a fiery blaze. Looks like we have a go from mission control. Let's launch.
3, 2, 1, liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey guys, Jake here from Simply Space. Welcome to my channel where we talk about anything and everything space. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's get into it. On December 9th, 2020, SpaceX test launched their first prototype of Starship to a height of 12.5 kilometers. After reaching its apogee, which is the highest point in flight, it flipped onto its belly and glided down to the ground. Once it was time to land, the rocket flipped back upwards using its little fin thingies, but gravity had other plans, and proving Sir Isaac Newton, what goes up must come down. Unfortunately, a little bit too fast for the vehicle to fix, which ended not as planned. But one question, was this a failure? Quickly comment down below, pause this video, and tell me what you think. I want to know what you think. Are you doing it? Come on, I'm waiting for you to do it. Do it right now. Anyways, this was absolutely not a failure because this is the first time that someone had tried to not only land a rocket vertical after launch, but flip it from vertical to horizontal and back to vertical again. I mean, this is a step up from the Falcon 9, which stays vertical the entire time. I mean, it lands vertical, but it stays vertical. The launch itself was scrubbed 2 times prior to this launch. The third attempt was the successful launch, but 2 things were unexpected. It was ascending very slowly, and then it was burning fuel all the way to its apogee, which is different from other rockets where they would accelerate quickly, burn all their fuel really fast, and then coast to the apogee. But this is for a good reason because they have a lot more control under powered flight because the Raptor engines have gyro movement, which allow to control the direction of the flight. One drawback is that they have to shut down certain engines in order to slow down because the Raptor engines can only slow down a certain amount. So they have to shut down each one in order to go slower.
Shut down!
And that is actually what happened during flight, as we saw the first engine
Shut down!
and then the second engine
Shut down!
2 minutes after. Now, some people were concerned when they saw fire in the base of the rocket after shutdown, but that's totally normal because it's just trapped gas being burned up by the other engines. Now, the rocket was able to fly perfectly all the way to its apogee and then performed a crazy maneuver and flipping a rocket the size of a 15-story building over onto its belly to fly back down to Earth. The flaps were used to steer and move the rocket as needed in order to make a landing back at the landing pad. Once the ship approached the landing pad, SpaceX reignited 2 engines to flip the rocket back to vertical. One of the major problems is that one of the rockets went out, which probably didn't help, which also led to the kaboom. According to Elon Musk, the problem was caused by low pressure in the fuel header tank and was unable to produce the fuel needed to slow the vehicle down. One more thing that was caused by this low pressure is that the remaining engine was not performing as planned. The engine didn't have enough pressure to generate thrust to slow the rocket down. We can see this reasoning because the exhaust from the engine just before touchdown was burning green. I mean, it looks cool, but it's really bad because the engine is actually burning the engine components, so that means it's like an oven cooking itself. The header tank in the Starship is basically a small separate fuel tank that is meant for landing and landing only. I mean, it only has enough fuel for landing, so it has to be used for landing. This makes the fuel a lot easier to manage because during the belly flop maneuver, the main tank has extra fuel just floating around and it's got nowhere to go. You can't control it. So it's much easier to use a full and smaller tank, which has just the right amount of fuel needed for landing. But the tank suffered from low pressure, which means no fuel going into the lines, which led to kaboom. Also, the craft was traveling about 80 miles an hour, which is about 120 kilometers, but that's fast. The plan going forward is actually to move on to the SN9 mission, and it actually launched the day I'm filming, which is right now for me. So overall, the Starship was able to complete most of its flight, but the only bad part was, well, you know what I'm talking about. So that's going to be it for me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.